Any grievance that anyone had, it was whipped up to just, it was blame it on the EU. Polar bears are dying, blame it on the EU. Like everything was, you're waiting your GP surgery, or indeed the fact that this Polish person is getting a job over me, blame it on the EU. And that was exactly the aim of the Vote Leave.eu, the right-wing press. That was exactly what they wanted to do, make the EU this big enemy, and all of the woes in your life would be fixed as a result of leaving.
But I think you're underestimating people. So I think people don't trust any of the politicians. I think there's no trust.
I agree.
And therefore, the fact that they lied didn't make any difference. They didn't trust them anyway. They didn't trust what they said. They didn't believe a word they said. The reason why they voted is because they voted with their own eyes. They said, "Wait a minute, a lot of areas have been left behind. Yeah, we haven't got jobs. I employ huge numbers of immigrants. Yeah, we wanted to employ UK people because of the benefit system. It was actually better for them to remain on benefits than it was to take a minimum wage job when they were doing community.
What's that got to do with the EU? That's to do with their own failure.
No, I'm saying people voted. So people voted. They saw we've been in the EU for many years, and it hasn't sorted our problems, is what they're saying.
Right, but this is exactly it.
Yeah.
You're actually agreeing, because what happened was any grievance that anyone had, it was whipped up to just, it was blame it on the EU. Polar bears are dying, blame it on the EU. Like everything was, you're waiting your GP surgery, or indeed the fact that this Polish person is getting a job over me, blame it on the EU. And that was exactly the aim of the Vote Leave.eu, the right-wing press. That was exactly what they wanted to do, make the EU this big enemy, and all of the woes in your life would be fixed as a result of leaving.
But they're at the top of the hierarchy. So if the system isn't working, you say that whatever's the top, the pinnacle, we have to free ourselves from that. Otherwise, we can't solve the problem.
I'm sorry, but we had the position. We were able, apart from a few laws here, which you're talking about, which the average Joe on the street is not concerned with, in my view. So we had the sovereignty to make our own laws. We had the sovereignty to control our own borders, like other countries do. We chose not to, because even Theresa May's government knew the benefits of immigration on this country. And we see that now, because we don't have that freedom of movement. And we can see agriculture, hospitality, horticulture, you name it. All of those industries are struggling now because they cannot fill jobs.
Let me tell you the big difference between us. I'm not thinking about the short term. I can't argue that there are challenges on the way, but I'm thinking much longer term.
Okay.
And I'm saying to you,
and all I'm going to say to you is, you have the luxury, Philip, of being able to think long term, and there are some people that have to think day to day, and those are the people falling through the cracks. And this is why when Jacob Rees-Mogg said the benefits of Brexit could be felt in 40 years, that's not good enough. People didn't know that. People wouldn't have voted for it otherwise.
But the crisis
you're completely right, Marina. Hold on. These two things that we've highlighted. One, you have to deal with the day-to-day and ensure that money flows around, and it's not. The money's simply not flowing. People can't put food on the table, and that is the short term. And you have to look at the long term as well. You can't look at one and not the other. You have to have solutions for both. And I think they've got solutions for neither at the moment. The model that I'm describing is with a new ledger, which deals with money in the short term, which is the problem that you described, having food on the table. But there's a separate ledger, which we'll describe at some point, which deals with the longer term. You have to, I completely agree with you, you have to address both problems simultaneously, but they're separate and different problems. You have to deal with both. At the moment, we mangle it all together and we sort out nothing at all. And there are two separate problems, the short term, and you have to deal with both. You can't separate the two. And the point is, we haven't got leaders at the moment who are dealing with either. They're an autopilot, and effectively we've left the EU. Had it made a difference? No. I'll be honest, at the moment, I completely agree with you. We haven't achieved what we want to achieve. But is it the right move? Yes, because it enables us to start to address creative vision for the long term, which we haven't done.
When I'm not, on Twitter and doing whatever, I do actually have a job, and I work in tech marketing, and and I'm all about scalability. So I test something, I pilot something, and then if there is a great a return on investment, or we can see real efficiency in terms of the metrics that we're seeking to deliver, then we look to scale it. My problem with this is that I can't even imagine it working at small scale. let alone scaling it.
Obviously, and now I know why you know about Agile, because you're in the world of
yes,
you're familiar with technology. Yeah. Now, just think about an Agile solution. Apply the same mindset you just described to what you do, to the problems that we're dealing with. Yeah? And then you do the same thing. You'd say, what's the minimum viable product? Okay, let's go to Grimsby. Let's create one town. Let's free up Grimsby from capitalism. We'll allow people to focus on, we create civic trust. And let's see, we start to create the concept of a trustee. We create a citizen assembly and do it with an MVP. We get something out and up and running within 6 weeks. And gradually we increment it in 2 or 3 weekly sprints. And let's modify it. The answer is not to throw your hand in the air.
There's a difference between your team, your scrum, and then the people of Grimsby. They aren't going to be able to reconvene and go in front of a Trello board and be like, okay, right, we're going to have to, do this and put this out. This is the next MVP we're going to do, and we're going to put this out. It won't work like that. The pace at which that would progress, even within Grimsby. And again, what are we talking here? Are we talking like one dry cleaner business, a hairdressers? Like I just can't see it.
And I sat down. We went there, and they want that. They say to me, don't do it to us.
But why have you not done it?
Because I can't, because when the system, I'm not going to waste my time when the environment will not allow, I'm a pragmatist, yeah? Fortunately, I've been successful in business. I'm not going to waste my time until we've got the framework which enabled it to be genuinely, it's too easy for people to make it impossible and to crush the system. I'm not going to try until we've got the support of the state and the support to actually do it. And once you've got support, then you're working together. It's not going to be them and us. We're trying to work together a solution. I can't do it myself. I'm not an idiot. Mm-hmm. We have to work. That's why we're working with people within the state to start to create a new vision. And then once you've got alignment, then you start to do it. But I really, you can't do it now because
I just feel we are so far from being in that position. And in fact, you're probably in a further position, further away from being able to do it, because through, I hate to bring it back to it, but campaigning for Brexit and empowering those people that push Brexit, you've actually pushed your dream further away, because the government that are in power are never going to facilitate that, because the powerful are never going to let you take that power away from them. And actually, Brexit saw Boris Johnson elected, saw the Conservatives in power, and we are where we are now, and actually your dream is further away.
Is it Brexit that determines elections or the demos? When I last remember, it was people that vote for not Brexit. So people, I'll be honest with you, I mean, Brexit isn't on my agenda. I mean, I appreciate it's very important to you, and I understand, and I'm sympathetic to it. But to me, I moved well on. I mean, I wrote an article at the time.
But again, Philip, you can afford to move on.
No,
it's not impacting you.
No, of course it is.
But you're able to absorb it.
No, it's nothing to do with money. I'll be honest with you. It's fundamentally, I feel the pain of what people are suffering. And it hurts me. So of course
sorry, it was worked out. I think it's about every household has lost over £1,000 due to Brexit. You've got people who have started up their little cheese businesses, and they've just had a massive trading block just wiped off of their balance sheet. Like these people, family businesses from years and years ago. For what? Because we need to have the freedom to implement something which we're nowhere near implementing.
And this is why I disagree with you. I told you, my scenario is this. I think there's going to be a systemic collapse. I'm just telling you, realistically, not in years, in much shorter time frame. There's going to be a collapse, and we're going to have to come up with a new solution. What I'm saying is people like us have to get the demos engaged in an alternative solution, rather than going back to the past. You agree, we're not going to go back into Europe in that's going to take time anyway. So to me, your horizon is much longer term than mine is, because I'm saying that's done and dusted.
Firstly, I do think we're going to go back into Europe. I think within 10 years, hopefully, if I've got anything to do with it. And also, right. So you're talking about the people of Grimsby want this. I know the idea of moving from the current system, which does not work, to this system is so gigantic. People don't have the capacity for this stuff. People have got their lives. They go to work. They go home. They get their kids. They have their dinner. They watch EastEnders. They go to bed. A lot of people don't have capacity to even get into politics. So the change that you are asking these people to even conceive of, let alone help drive, when people don't have time to earn enough money to take a second job, and yet they're going to be partaking in these civic
I agree with you. What we're saying is The world of politics and the world is complicated, and it's deliberately complicated. I'm sure I've heard you talk about this, because the measures that they use are deliberately obscure, and no one can understand it, and therefore the reason why people are not engaged is because it's deliberately designed in a way that they can't get engaged.
They're very exclusive.
It's exclusive. And what I'm saying to you is these concepts are simple. We sit around the table and we've spoken to them.
Who's got time for this, Philip?
Sorry.
So, for example, me, I'm a mum of 2, and I am stretched beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm supposed to find time to go and be a trustee.
What happens is you do it by a scrum. This is not a big bang. I completely can't do it in a big bang. But you've got to start with a vision, and you start with an MVP, and you start with a team in Grimsby, but with the support of the state, getting the publicity that you need, and you gradually build it. You don't need everybody to do it at the same time. I'm not arguing, completely. It's got to evolve, but you've got to plant a seed. Unless you plant a seed, you can't start a change. Now, you're talking about 10 years ago. I'm saying no now. I think this collapse is going to happen within, let's say, a year. Let's plant a seed, and I completely agree with you that we have to have a solution for the short term and a solution for the long term. But let's get people engaged. Let's stop using all this jargon whereby people haven't got a clue what inflation is, what unemployment is. Let's start to build trust and take it piece by piece. I mean, the thing that I've had since I always had big businesses, is I couldn't kind of say it's too complicated, because that's what I was employing hundreds of thousands of people. I had to deal with it, and it didn't help to say it's too complicated, because I wouldn't have got it. I would have never got out of bed in the morning.
Unfortunately for now, we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you so much, everyone. That was a really thought-provoking discussion, really, really interesting. Thank you to Philip, of course. Thank you to Lord Glasman and Marina as well. And thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.